Throughout history, powerful leaders have ruled nations, built empires, and led great armies. From the sands of ancient Egypt to the heart of the Roman Empire, figures of immense power have captivated our imaginations. But behind their glory, behind the statues and monuments, lies a hidden truth, a truth as old as civilization itself. Many of these leaders, these architects of history, mastered the art of manipulation. They controlled minds, twisted beliefs, and shaped societies, not always for the greater good, but often to serve their own interests. How did they do it? What were these ancient tactics of persuasion, of control, that enabled these rulers to maintain their grip on power? Let's uncover the dark secrets of ancient leaders and their masterful manipulation. Join me as we delve into the annals of history and explore the tactics, both ingenious and insidious, employed by these masters of manipulation. Let's travel back to the time of the pharaohs, to the land of the Nile, where civilization flourished under the scorching Egyptian sun. Ancient Egypt, a civilization that spanned millennia, wasn't built solely on the backs of laborers and the ingenuity of its architects. It was a society built on a foundation of belief, a belief that permeated every aspect of their lives, the belief in the divine right of pharaohs. These weren't just kings, you see. They were considered living gods, the embodiment of Horus, the falcon-headed god, walking among mortals. Imagine that, being raised in a society where your ruler isn't just a political figurehead, but a divine being, chosen by the gods themselves to lead. The pharaohs were masters of blending the secular and the sacred. They weren't just making laws, they were enacting the will of the gods. They weren't just collecting taxes, they were receiving offerings due to divine beings. Disobeying the pharaoh wasn't just treason, it was blasphemy, a one-way ticket to eternal damnation. This carefully constructed belief system, this divine aura, served as the ultimate form of control, ensuring absolute power and squashing any potential uprising before it could even take root. But it wasn't just fear of divine retribution that kept the masses in check. It was also a matter of societal conditioning, of cultural indoctrination that began at birth. From the moment they could understand, Egyptians were taught to revere the pharaoh as a god on earth. The pharaoh wasn't just a ruler. He was the source of all life, the giver of laws, the protector from chaos. He was the embodiment of Ma'at, the cosmic order, the force that kept the universe from descending into chaos. This intertwining of religion and politics, this fusion of the earthly and the divine, was a stroke of genius, a manipulation tactic that solidified the pharaoh's power for centuries. From the sands of Egypt, we shift our gaze eastward to the heart of Mesopotamia, where a new power arose, a power that instilled fear and commanded obedience through sheer brutality. The Assyrians, my friends, were not known for their subtlety, their finesse. No, they were the heavy metal band of the ancient world. They were loud, they were in your face, and they played their instruments of war with a ferocity that left nations trembling. Forget diplomacy. Their diplomacy was a swift sword and a scorching fire. The Assyrians perfected the art of war, turning it into a spectacle of violence designed to shock and awe their enemies. They were masters of psychological warfare, understanding that true power lay not just in conquering lands, but in breaking the spirit of its people. Imagine, if you will, armies marching on your city, not under banners of colorful crests, but under standards depicting scenes of unimaginable cruelty. Imagine hearing tales of cities sacked, their inhabitants slaughtered, their homes reduced to rubble. That was the Assyrian calling card. They were systematic in their brutality, leaving no room for doubt, no space for hope. Public impalement, flaying, mass executions, these weren't just acts of war. They were calculated displays of terror, designed to send a message that echoed through generations. This, they seem to say, is what happens when you defy the might of Assyria. And it worked. The sheer terror they inspired served as an effective deterrent against rebellion. Who in their right mind would dare challenge a power that reveled in such barbarity? Entire populations were uprooted, ripped from their ancestral lands, and scattered throughout the empire, their cultures diluted, their identities fragmented. It was a way of ensuring that conquered peoples, stripped of their homes and identities, were less likely to rebel. The Assyrians may be long gone, but their legacy of terror, their mastery of fear as a weapon, serves as a chilling reminder of the dark side of power. Now, let's journey to the heart of the Roman Empire, a civilization that prided itself on law, order, and of course its grand spectacles. The Romans, unlike the Assyrians, understood that brute force alone could only get you so far. To truly control the masses, you needed a more nuanced approach, a carrot-and-stick method, if you will. And what better carrot is there than free food and entertainment? Enter the era of bread and circuses, a term that has come to epitomize the Roman approach to social control. The Roman emperors, those shrewd political strategists, knew that a content populace was far less likely to rise up in rebellion. And what better way to keep the masses content than by providing them with their basic needs and distracting them with dazzling spectacles? Imagine yourself as a Roman citizen, struggling to make ends meet in the teeming metropolis that was Rome. Life is tough, work is backbreaking, and the future looks bleak. But wait, what's this? The emperor, in his infinite generosity, is providing free grain to all citizens. That's right, free food, enough to keep hunger at bay. This act of seeming benevolence served a dual purpose. It appeased the masses, providing them with a basic necessity, and it also created a dependence on the emperor's generosity. After all, when you rely on someone for your sustenance, you're less likely to bite the hand that feeds you. But the Romans didn't stop at bread. They understood the power of spectacle, the allure of entertainment, to distract and pacify the masses. The Roman emperors, those masters of crowd psychology, understood that a populace entertained was a populace controlled. It's a tactic that's as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. A reminder that the most effective forms of control are often the most subtle, the most insidious, the ones that creep into our lives disguised as entertainment and generosity. Now let's rewind the clock a bit, back to the land of the pharaohs, where we encounter a different kind of manipulation. A manipulation not of the masses, but of history itself. This is the story of Pharaoh Hatshepsut, a woman who dared to break the mold, to shatter the glass ceiling of ancient Egypt, only to be erased from history by her successors. Hatshepsut was no ordinary pharaoh. She was a woman in a man's world, a queen who dared to claim the throne for herself, to rule as pharaoh in her own right. And rule she did for over 2 decades, proving herself to be a capable and shrewd leader. But her reign, her very existence, posed a problem for the patriarchal society of ancient Egypt. Imagine the audacity, the sheer gall, of a woman claiming the throne, a throne that had always been the domain of men. But Hatshepsut was no pushover. She embraced her role as pharaoh, adopting the traditional regalia, the beard, the kilt, all symbols of male authority. She ruled effectively, expanding trade, commissioning ambitious building projects, and securing Egypt's borders. After her death, her successor, Thutmose III, perhaps feeling the need to legitimize his own claim to the throne, embarked on a systematic campaign to erase Hatshepsut from history. Statues were toppled, images were defaced, her name was chiseled off monuments, all in an attempt to rewrite history, to pretend that she never existed. It was a calculated act of manipulation, an attempt to control the narrative, to erase a powerful woman from the annals of history. Hatshepsut's story reminds us that power isn't just about controlling the present, it's also about controlling the past, about shaping the narrative to suit your own ends. From the divine right of pharaohs to the brutal terror of the Assyrians, from the Romans' bread and circuses to the erasure of Hatshepsut from history, we've seen how ancient leaders used manipulation to gain and maintain power. These tactics may sound ancient, but are they really gone? Even today, leaders manipulate through fear, propaganda, economic control, and censorship, just in more sophisticated ways. The question is, are we aware of it? And what can history teach us about resisting manipulation? Do you think these tactics are still used today? Comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more deep dives into history's hidden secrets.